welcome to another video. Today it's part 3 of the necessary clutch wallet sew along. Today we're going to be assembling the zipper pockets, so let's get started. Okay, so up next we are going to prepare our zipper for the zipper pocket. We're going to need to add S's to that because we're doing plurals. So we're going to be making 2 zippers because we're going to be adding 2 zipper pockets, which is very, very easy. Don't worry, not too far deviated from the pattern. I just feel that if you're going to go to all the effort, you might as well add another extra pocket in, and I like pockets. You can of course follow the pattern tutorials, and if you want to do it the way that the pattern has it, then you will only need to make 1 zipper. The first thing it wants you to do is trim the metal stops from the ends of the zipper. Measure and trim the zipper so that it measures exactly 6 inches long. Okay, well I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do it slightly differently. So what you're going to need are your 2 zips. These ones have metal ends, and these other ones that I'm using do not. You want your zip to be at least 7 inches long, but any length will work, and it must have nylon teeth because you're going to be cutting through them, and that just makes life easier. So we're going to work. Actually, I'm going to work with the pink zips first because that's going to be much easier for you to see. So, start again. You're going to want your 2 zips and your 8 pieces of scrap fabrics that are at least 1.5 inches long by 1 inch wide. Mine are much bigger than that because, as I said earlier when I was showing you the cutting guide, I find it much easier to work with larger pieces and trim them down afterwards than fiddle around with the exact size and stress about getting it all perfect. So we're going to start with the 8 pieces of scrap fabric and the 2 zips. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to need is the 2 of your pieces of your scrap fabric and your zip. You're going to want to place 1 piece down right side up, and you want the longest piece to be in towards the main body of the zip. You're then going to place the other piece right side down, so you're making a zip sandwich, and you're going to sew over the end. Now if there is a metal stop here, you want to be sort of 1/2 inch in from that. We are going to trim off all of this excess zipper teeth. What you want is to make sure that you actually have 6 inches of zip, usable zip left. So you can go in a little bit, but you want to make sure that you have 6 inches of usable zip. Okay, so you've got your zip sandwich here. You've got your scrap pieces of fabric right sides together with the zip in the middle. And what you're going to do is sew with a quarter of an inch seam allowance. You're going to sew over the entire thing so that the sandwich becomes permanent. You're going to want to backstitch at the beginning and the end. So you should end up with something that looks a lot like this. So zipper sandwich, and then you want to finger press both pieces back, and then you want to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge along there, and again you want to back stitch at the start and at the end. You should end up with something that looks like this. So you've got your zip sandwiched in there, you've top stitched that down, and what we're going to do now is we're going to trim off all of this excess zip. It would help if I had my scissors. Yeah, so we're gonna trim off all of this excess zipper tape here because you want as little bulk in this area as possible to make your life easier towards the end. So just trim that off. If you're doing tube zipper pockets like we are, you want to do this for the other zip as well. And when you're making your zip sandwich, you want to make very sure that the majority of the fabric is towards the majority of the zip, because you want to be able to fold it all back to end up with something like this. So we've basically just done all of these steps here to add on the little zipper tab to the end of the zipper, and we're going to repeat this for the other side. But before we want to do that, I want to make just make a quick note. So If you'd have cut the 1.5 inch by 1 inch pieces, you would have, because what you want is your zip to, with zipper tabs, to finally end up being 8 inches long. I just find that really difficult and fiddly to do, and I'm going to trim mine down afterwards with a rotary cutter and a ruler, just because I find that having all that extra fabric just makes it just that little bit easier for me to work with. Plus, given the scraps that you end up with when you're cutting these out, having these extra bits is not a difficult thing to find. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is measure our zip, and we want our zip to be 6 inches long from this stitching line. So we're going to make a mark. Got my blue friction pen here. So you want it to be 6 inches long. Difficult to do without being able to stabilize. So I've made a mark on my zip at the 6 inches. What I'm also going to do is make a mark at the 6¼ inch, and that's where I'm going to, when I put my fabric over, because I won't be able to see the 6 inch mark, I'm going to be able to butt the end of my fabric up against the 6¼ inch mark, sew at 1/4 inch, and that way I know I've definitely got a 6 inch zip. The other thing that you want to remember to do is move, before you do this, you want to move your zip slider into the middle of your zip. Again, ask me how I know that you need to do this. 1 or 2 zips have been ruined that way. So yes, I'm going to move this down. So yeah, you want to, before you start sewing anything, you want to move your zipper pull into the middle of your zipper. That's going to be the bit that goes into the bag. What I suggest that you do, because obviously when you sew you're going to need your zipper teeth to be next to each other to make the zip functional. What I suggest you do, slightly overlap it and use a wonder clip, and that just helps everything to sit the correct way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put right side of the fabric up. Oh, I haven't made my other marks. So there, I've made my marks for lining my fabric up. So you're going to put right side of fabric up, your zipper on top, and then right side of fabric down, so you're making a zipper sandwich again. Butt the end of the fabric up with that 1/4 inch mark that you've made and sew at 1/4 inch, which will give you a 6 inch zip. So you should end up with something that looks like this, and you're going to do the same thing. You want to finger press both of those pieces back and top stitch, and you've got your zip pull. Your zipper tape measures 6 inches, and when you've top stitched here you're going to cut the excess zip off. So you should end up with something that looks like this when it's top stitched, and we're just going to cut the excess zipper tape off. So you want to fold back both of those pieces. And there we've got our zip. So you want to do the same for the other one. Okay, so now that we've got all of our zippers prepared with their zipper ends, we need to trim down these zipper ends so that the entire thing measures 8 inches. So 1 inch there, 6 inches of zipper tape, and 1 inch this end, and so that the zipper ends are also the same width, so 1 inch wide on the size as well. So 8 inches long, and you've got to take it down so that it's the same width as the zipper tape. This is the zipper pocket lining, and this measures 8 inches across, and that is why you want your zipper to measure 8 inches across. So you just want to get one of your quilting rulers or one of your rulers and your rotary cutter. You want to line up the ruler with the edge of the zipper teeth and trim off. And it helps if you have a blade that's sharp, trim off the excess. And you want to do that for both sides. So our tab is now the same width as the zipper tape. I'm going to do the same for this end. So you end up with something like that. And then what you want to do is you want to make it 8 inches long. So you need to measure 1 inch from there and cut off the excess, and 1 inch from here and cut off the excess, so that the entire thing measures 8 inches long. So 1 inch of tab, 6 inches of zipper tape, and 1 inch of tab. So you should end up with something that looks like this. Now this is the reason that I used those are large pieces of fabric, because I would find making this accurate with such a small piece of fabric really fiddly and annoying. So that's why I have decided to use a larger piece and then trim it down so it's perfect at the end. And it measures 8 inches. So now you want to repeat that for all of the other zips. And again, I'm making 2 separate bags. So this is 1 bag, this is another bag, which is why I have 4. When you're done, you should end up with a pair of zippers that have zipper tabs at the end, which are 1 inch long, 6 inches of zipper tape, and another zipper tab at the end. So the entire thing measures 8 inches. And as I said, I'm making 2 bags, so I have 2 sets. Okay, so now that we have prepared our zips, we are going to work on making the zipper pocket pieces. What you're going to need is your 4 8 by 4 inch zipper pocket inners, which are the uninterfaced pieces. You're going to need your 2 zips that you've just prepared. You're going to need your 8 by 7.5 inch interfaced zipper pocket piece, and you're going to need your 2 8 by 3 3/4 zipper pocket pieces. These are the ones that I instructed you to cut 1 of those and 2 of those, or cut 2 of those and cut 1 in half. So you're going to need all of those pieces for your zipper pockets. Okay, to start with, you're going to have 1 inner zipper pocket piece, you're going to have your zip, and you're going to have your outer zipper pocket piece. And we're going to sandwich those all together, and it's going to be like this. So you have your right side of your lining facing up, which you then put the right side of your zip facing up, and the right side of your zip is the bit where the zipper pull is facing you. So right side of lining, zipper pull facing up, and you're going to align those along the very top edge. And then you're going to take your outer pocket piece and you're going to sandwich the zip between the lining and the outer pocket piece. This is going to be right sides down, and you're going to stitch along the top edge. I'm going to pin it and I'm going to show you. So you have your inner pocket lining right side up, you have your zip right side up, so that means that your zipper pull is facing upwards, and you align those along the top edge. And then so this is 7 and 8 inches wide and 7.5 inches tall, so you want the 8 inch wide portion to be along the lining up along the top. And it should be very obvious, because if you try and do it the other way, it's going to be too short. So, and then what you want to do is you want to sandwich your zip in between everything and pin. You're not going to be able to get it all to lay flat because you've got your zipper pull to contend with, but you want to end up with something that looks like this. So you've got your pocket lining, you've got your outer pocket piece, right sides together, with the zip sandwiched in the middle, with the zipper pull facing the right side of the outer pocket edge. Okay, so I have my regular zip foot on. I have my needle moved all the way over to the left, and that means that when I put the foot down, this edge is going to run up against the zipper teeth, and I'm going to be stitching very close to, but not right next to, the zipper teeth. This isn't like a dress zip. You don't have to be super close. You want this zip to be exposed. You need to be able to see the zip. So we're going to sew this one. I'll show you, and then I'll just pin it all again and show you again. Okay, so I have the edge of my zipper foot here running up against the teeth of the zipper underneath. Obviously you can't see that, but when you're doing it you'll be able to feel it. I've now got to the zipper pull, so you want to make sure your needle's down, you want to raise your presser foot, move the zipper pull right to the other end, and then continue sewing. When you're finished, you should end up with something that looks a lot like this. So you've got your outer pocket piece, you've got your zip with the pull on the outside, and then you've got your pocket lining here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to repeat this process. So you want another inner pocket piece, you want your zip, your second zip this is. Now, personally to me, it doesn't bug me if the zip pulls aren't on the same end, but I know it can bug some people. So just bear in mind when you're doing this. I've got my zipper pull open there, which means if I put my zipper pull there and put that down, they're going to be opening from different ends. So I'm going to turn that around and do it like that, so that I've got, because basically I'm going to be sandwiching this top end over here. So my zipper pull is open on this side and the zipper pull is open on this side, so they'll be open on the same ends. So you have your inner pocket lining piece right side up, you have your zip right side up with the zipper pull on top looking at you, and then you take your outer pocket piece, the edge that you've not sewn, and you sandwich your zip and do exactly the same process, sew along that top edge. Okay, once you've done that, you should end up with something that looks like this. So you've got your two inner pocket pieces here, you've got two zips attached to your outer pocket piece. So what we need to do now is sew in the other sides of our lining, and we need to sew in the other sides of our outer pocket pieces. So it's the same principle. You take your outer pocket piece, and you want to have that right side up. You want to get your zip so that the right side of your inner pocket piece that you've already attached goes face down onto the new one, so that matches up with the zip along the top there. And then you want to take one of your skinnier outer pocket pieces and again make a sandwich of the zip. So you should end up with two inner pocket pieces there and two outer pocket pieces here, and the zip sandwiched in the middle. And again, you're going to sew along this top edge here. I'm going to pin it, I'm going to do it, I'll show you. Okay, so when you've done that, you want to end up with something that looks like this. So you've got your two inner pocket pieces right sides facing each other, you have your large outer pocket piece and your small outer pocket piece facing each other right sides together, and then you've got your zip sandwiched in there, and so that you end up, you're going to go and press everything so that that happens, and then we're going to top stitch. But yeah, so this is what you want to end up with. So we're going to do the same over here. So we need our inner pocket piece. The thing you want to watch for when you're doing this step is to not catch this inner pocket piece in this other line of stitching. So we've got our inner pocket piece right side up. We're going to put our zip over that with the right side up so the zip pulls out, and we're going to then take our second small outer pocket piece, make a zip sandwich, pin it all, sew it, and I am back stitching at the beginning and end of every line of stitching that I'm doing here. That's really important. So I'm going to do this and then I'll show you. Okay, so when you've sewn that last piece down, oh, and I'm going to have to redo it because my inner pocket piece got caught. So right, so I just unpicked to about there. I straightened it all out. I've backstitched here and just gone over, so that's fine. That does happen, don't worry, just sort of fix and move on. So you want to end up with something that looks like this. So you've got your 4 inner pocket pieces on the ends, you have your large outer pocket piece there, and then you have your 2 small inner pocket pieces facing each other, and you've got your zips in there. So what we now need to go and do is press everything, and what you want to make sure when you're pressing is that you are pressing your inner zipper pocket pieces open so that they lie flat like this, and then your outer pocket pieces lie flat like that, so that you can't see, when you're looking through the zips, you can't see any of the inner pocket zips. So I'm going to go and press this, and then we're going to top stitch. So once everything is pressed, you want it to look a little something like that from that side, and that from that side. We are now going to go and top stitch, and we're going to top stitch down each edge of each zipper. And again, you want to make sure that when you look at it, if I can get this open, you want to make sure that when you look at it, you cannot see any of your inner pocket linings when you're top stitching, because you want to make sure that you're top stitching them out like that, so you don't top stitch your pocket shut. That would be bad. For this top stitching, I leave my zipper foot on, but I move the needle over to the right so that it is one tick over right from the edge of the zipper foot, and I use this side of the foot to guide along here whilst top stitching along there. There will come a point where you're going to need to keep your needle down, put the foot up and move your zip along. And again, I can't stress this enough, you want to make sure that your pocket linings are both facing away from the zip. Okay, so once you've done all your top stitching, you should end up with something that looks like this from this side, and this from this side. You do not want to have caught any of your inner pocket linings into the top stitching of the front pieces. So what we're going to do now is sew this all together to make our pocket pieces. The only thing I wanted to mention, if you're using a directional print, you can use the directional print on the inner pocket pieces. I would not advise that you use it on the outer, because you're gonna basically be folding this up like this, and as you can imagine, it's going to be the right way up one side and the wrong way up the other side. So I would use your non-directional fabric for that, but you can use directional prints for your inner pocket pieces, which is what I have done here. And when you're laying them out to put your zips on, you want to make sure that your print is facing you like this. And I've already started putting this one together. So I had my inner pocket piece face up, you then put your zip face up, and then you put your outer pocket piece face down. And if you put the zip along the top line here, your inner pocket pieces with a directional print will be the right way up. So I'm going to complete this one, and then I'm going to sew everything together and show you how to do that. Okay, so we need to turn this rather strange looking thing into usable pockets, zipper pockets. So put your zip pulls to the middle. This used to be, because if you hadn't done that, it would be impossible to turn it right side out, but because we have not sewn these two ends together, that's not an issue. But it just means that when you're sewing with sewing the side seams together, your zipper pulls will never be in the way. So you want to put your zipper pulls in the middle. You then want to pin together your two inner pocket pieces, and these are the two uninterfaced pieces, and you want to pin these together, or if you're like me and you are using wonder clips them together. And again, I'm trying to do this through the viewfinder. So you want to line up the edges and pin. Now your zipper end here, you want to pinch that in towards the zipper pocket, the interior of the zipper pocket. You want to match up your stitching and match up the ends and pin, and then you should. So we've got our the small outer zipper pocket piece, and we're going to just pin that or clip that to the large outer pocket piece, right sides together. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side. So you have your inner pocket pieces right sides together. You have your large outer pocket piece and your small inner pocket piece right sides together. You want to fold the zipper tab down into the inner pocket piece and pin, and then you're going to pin the rest of this along here. So you should end up with something that looks like this, and don't worry that these are not sewn together, that's totally fine. If they overlap like mine are a little bit, that's fine. If you end up with a small gap, that's fine. Basically, we are going to be sewing a box around this piece when we confine. One of the final things we do to construct the actual purse in whole is sew a 1-inch box around here, which is going to enclose these two raw edges. So as long as the gap is small, sort of 1/4, 3/8 of an inch, totally fine. Any bigger than that, you might want to repin just so that your gap is a bit smaller. But now what we're going to do is sew this together along this line at 1/4 of an inch here. But for the inner pocket pieces, we're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch, grading that into 1/4 of an inch when you get to the zip pull or the zip tab end. 1/4 of an inch all the way along here, 1/4 of an inch here, and then again down to 3/8 of an inch at the bottom here, and that will just help the inner pocket pieces lie flatter when we turn everything the right way out. So I'm going to sew that and show you. Okay, so when you've finished, you should end up with a line of stitching that encloses the short end of the inner pocket pieces and the side of the outer pocket piece. You are going to leave the bottoms of your inner pocket pieces open. You are also going to leave these two pieces open and unsewn. So this is correct. There should not be any stitching in here at all. So I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Then I'm going to trim, press and turn it all out. Okay, so we've got both sides sewn down, so you should have an open piece here, open here, and open here. Now, what we need to do now is trim away some of the bulk from the zip ends because they are very, very bulky. So you want to trim some of this out, and I'm not going to do this looking through the viewfinder because I will cut the wrong thing. I know I will. So I've kind of just taken out a chunk there, and I've reduced it to half of the seam allowance that it had, and I'm going to do that for all the other pieces as well. Okay, so I've taken out half of the seam allowance in these bits here. We're now going to press. Okay, so we're going to press this a little bit before we turn it inside out. So what you want to do is actually press both sides over on the seam to the inside, and then you can do it to the same way, or you can do it if it's easier to turn it over and do it in like that so that they end up opposite, that's fine. But you want to press these bits in. So I've pressed that bit that way, then I've turned it over and pressed this bit this way, so it's kind of opposite, but it really doesn't matter. What we're going to do now is turn everything the right way out. Okay, so we're going to pull an elephant through a cat flap. I'm going to turn this the right way out. Claire said that, and I'm never going to forget it. Okay, so you're going to have to work the tab pieces through, and that's where we cut out the bulk, so it should be slightly easier. But yeah, you're going to need to give them a proper sort of good poke, but they'll get there. And there we go. So your inner pocket pieces should be laying quite flat already because we've pressed those. So yeah, they should be laying quite flat already, but we are going to give this another press to get these edges to lie flat. And then that's your zipper pocket complete, because we're going to leave all of those bits open because, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to sew a box around these so they will all be enclosed so you will never see them. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. I will have listed all the supplies and materials used in the description box, but if you can't see your answer there, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer you. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!